a very good afternoon, and initially would like to pay my respect to Mr. Japan Chairman in this 60th wedding, and would like to say afternoon to all the churches and everybody here. So today I'm going to conduct and present about a topic. My research topic is about teacher strategies for teaching English vocabulary to grade 9 students at Savannah School at the second campus. Okay. So my advisor is Mr. Sokin Chi, and my name is San Sopet. Alright, so let's get into the next point here. Here are the contents about my research conducting. Alright, so 1.1 is about the background of the study. So why I chose this topic? Because English vocabulary is very challenging to the student. Because the English vocabulary is very significant to the student when they speak, when they communicate, when they reading, when they speaking and everything. Because if the lack of the vocabulary is very hard to understand in English. All right. So the next one is about the statement of the problem. So statement of the problem is here. It talk about the challenges and the challenges of the student they face in the English vocabulary. So here, so we decided to conduct and find the result and what is the problem, what is the solution to handle with the student to learn English vocabulary, even the motivation, even the lack of motivation like that. So I have three research questions here. So the first one is what strategy do English teachers to teach English vocabulary to grade 9 students at Savannah School, second campus? And the second question is how are these vocabulary teaching strategies implemented in grade 9 students in grade 9 English classrooms at Savannah School's second campus? And the last one here, what challenges do English teachers face when teaching English vocabulary to grade 9 students at Savannah School's second campus? Alright, so the next one here, 1.3 here, it is about the objective of the study. So the main objective here I use it to study about the way how to investigate or discover to find out what the strategy used by English teacher, used by English teacher to teach teaching English vocabulary to grade 9 students at the secondary. Alright, so and this is also to examine the effective way in supporting student vocabulary learning. Alright, so the next one is about I have a sub-objective to support my topic. So it is about to identify vocabulary teaching strategy and to examine how to teach vocabulary teaching strategy implemented in the classroom, and also to explore or discover the challenges faced by English teacher. Alright, so the next one is about 1.4, the scope and limitation of the study. So this study examined the strategy by teachers to teach English vocabulary to grade 9 students. So this is very significant. We have to explore and find the solutions to the student and the teacher between the student. The connection or engagement between the student and the teacher in the English classroom to find out about it, scope about it, observation about it. So the next one about the research. Research design. So I use research that use quantitative method. And the simple design is 30 students in grade 9 at Savannah School at the second campus were chosen to responding and the 2 teachers. And my research instrument, I use quantitative questionnaires to gather the necessary information or data in my study. Alright, so the next one is about data collection. So the method of collecting data was number 2 way. So statistical treatment and analysis, I use the Microsoft Excel, Microsoft Word, and Google Form to gain my data. And this is my references. Thank you very much for paying your attention to my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sopet, for your interesting presentation. Next, I would like to invite the examination committee to begin the questioning session. Please proceed.
Participation. Good afternoon. My name is Lois Redut. It's such a great honor that I stand here to present about my topic is to investigate the techniques teaching grammar of English teacher teaching to the student in level 5 student at Savannah School by 2 campus. So my advisor is Mr. Suminti, and my name is Lutredut. I am studying English major in promotion 19. So there are 5 content that I'm going to presentation today. So chapter 1 is introductions, chapter 2 is review of related literature, chapter 3 is general situation of the institutions and studies, chapter 4 is report finding, and the last one is conclusion and implication. Move to the next slide is move to chapter 1. I'm gonna introduction. So number 1.1 is background of the study. So in here is the main focus of the general situations like that mostly happen in generally like English play an important role in communication and education and future career opportunity. Especially in Cambodia, it is widely taught in school. So grammar is the fundamental part of English because it helps students form correct sentence and express ideas clearly. It also supports all 4 skills like speaking, reading, listening, and writing. So, however, many level 5 still face difficulty in learning grammar because they are still in the primary level. So it's such a lower grade and also high grade. So due to the teaching methods and low engagement, therefore this study aims to investigate how teachers teach grammar and how effective those techniques are. So the next slide is 1.2, statement of problem. So many students have difficulty using grammar correctly in the real communication. So traditional teaching methods such as explanation and memorizations make students passive and less motivated. So research question that I bring 5 questions for conducting my research. So number 1 is what grammar teaching techniques are used by the English teacher in level 5? Number 2 is how does the teacher implement this technique in the classroom? Number 3 is how do students respond to the grammar teaching technique? Number 4 is how effective are the grammar teaching technique in improving student understanding? And the last one is what challenges does the teacher face in grammar teaching? So move to the next one is 1.3 is objective of study. Main objective is to investigate grammar teaching technique. And also, I have sub-objective that's supporting my topic goal. So to identify the grammar teaching technique that used by level 5 English teacher, to examine how the teacher applies different teaching methods and strategy, to analyze student response and participation during the grammar lessons, to evaluate the effectiveness of this technique on improving the student understanding, to explore the challenges faced by the teacher in teaching grammar, and the last one, it provides a recommendation for improving grammar teaching at primary level. So the next slide is 1.4 is scope and limitation of the study. 1.4.1 is limitation of the study. So the scope is just only conducting research just only for level 5 students at the Suvarnabhumi school and just only for the grammar teaching. So number 1.4.2 is scope of the study. I just research for the small amounts and limited time, and result may not generalize. So the next is 1.5 is research methodology. For the research methodology, I use quantitative research to conduct this research. The data are collected using the research tool and presented in the numerical form, such as the percentage, mean, charts, and table. For the sample, I use 53 samples of the student and 5 teachers. Instrument is a questionnaire, data collection is survey measure, analysis in mean and percentage. Mean is average and percentage is out of 100. So the next is multi-chapter 2 is review on the topic again is dependable variable is student grammar teaching, learning which refer to their ability to understand the using grammar correctly in the communication. So 2.2 is review on the points that relate to the topic. So 2.2.1 is EFO, So English one with the limited exposure and classroom teaching is essential. So in here, we mainly focus on the classroom, because we study English as a foreign language, so it's hard for all of us to use it for daily life. So the next one is 2.2 is about grammar. Implement for the correct communication and should focus on use, not only rule. Teacher before is mostly used in the traditional one, so the modern one is still important. So number 3 is generalized situation of the instruction in institution. So number 3.1 is background of the institution. So Savanapong School is the private educational institutions in Cambodia that provided a general education and English program. It focuses on the developing student knowledge and skill to future success. So number 3.2 is the vision and mission. So their vision is to achieve the student success in the study and career, and mission is to provide quality education, prepare for the higher education, and develop skill and knowledge. Here is data interpretation for the teacher. I have two, one is for teacher and one is for student. So here is the conclusions. Grammar teaching is more effective when interactive and student-centered methods are used. Students learn better through participation, which improves their understanding and confidence. So number 5.2 is implication. Use interactive teaching methods, encourage student participation, provide visual feedback, and practice grammar in real situations. So here are the references that I use in conducting research. Thank you.
Thank you for your interesting presentation. Next, I would like to invite the examination committee to begin the questioning session. Please proceed.
I use both primary data and secondary data. Primary data I collected directly from 15 graduate students, and through questionnaire, classroom observation, and direct interaction. And secondary data I collected from the exhausting results like book, journal, and other research articles. So about the participant and sampling, participant with the 15 graduate students with the purposive sampling. And one more is about instruction and collection. I use the instructional questionnaire using a 5-point life scale from strongly agree to strongly disagree. Let's move on to chapter 2, review of the relative literature and summary. As you can see, teaching English of the female and 40% of the male. And this is the summarizing of all the variables. And let's go to the 5 main questions. And the first question is, what are the attitudes of grammar students with the overall mean of 3.76 and high attentiveness and interact with moderate motivation and perceive importance? And the second question about what the extent graduate students understand grammar of difficulty with the good understanding of example, low understanding of grammar rules, and high confusion during lesson. And about the question number 3, how do persons perceive the effectiveness of clarified teaching method? About the overall effectiveness with 5.25 with strength, simple explanation, and weakness, limited checking of student understanding. And about the number 4, what is the perceived helpfulness of grammar practice with the most helpful, like group or peer work, and issue not enough practice exercise, and with the overall means 3.36. And about the last question, how do the students evaluate the accuracy of learning results, classroom or environment? So with overall satisfactory 3.45, and strong tools with board and textbook, and weakness with lack of material, and moderate classroom focus and management. So let's move on to chapter 5, conclusion. So about the conclusion, about the study found that graduate students have a positive attitude and interest, but they still face the difficulty like the rule gave. So, and the teacher method are clear. Even the teacher method helpful are clear, but all of them still need the hands-on practice. And about the implication, about the findings suggest that teachers should use a simple explanation, clear example, and more interactive activity to improve student understanding of grammar. But the students should be encouraged to practice regularly to strengthen their skills. And also the school should provide more learning material and create a classroom environment to enhance the effectiveness of grammar learning. So that's all for my presentation. Thank you for your paying attention.
Thank you, Ms.
For example, the data conducted research by UNESCO, which focus mainly about education, the data from OECD, right? They conducted research to evaluate like the PISA result or something. This is called secondary data, but you don't really use them in your research. The reason why in our guideline, we want you to put the definition of primary data and secondary data. So when you have the definition, you understand clearly that whether your research are using primary or secondary data. Okay? But you just say primary data, secondary data from the research. You know, in fact, your research, you didn't use it. Here they want you to give the definition so that you understand clearly whether you are using primary or secondary. In fact, primary data, you use them. And for the confidence, okay, a little bit, you mentioned about the use of frequency and standard deviation in order to analyze your data, but when we try to search for that, I don't see the frequency and standard deviation, so you cheat us with that. You put the nice word using frequency and standard deviation for data analysis, but throughout the finding, I cannot see it. Okay, so you are using the good picture, but at the end, okay, when we don't follow up, you can get away with that easily. Okay. For time management, yeah, good time management, we have only 1 second left with us. So good. And for regarding the question, okay, many of you, especially teacher Shaidan, ask about whether you are using probability or non-probability sampling. But you yourself maybe don't know the meaning of probability or non-probability. Probability, like you studying probability and you study mathematics, you take it, okay, randomly. But many of you don't take it randomly. You just go to the teacher, go to student directly by using a confidence sampling. So you don't use probability sampling, right? But because you don't understand the word, so you cannot answer. But in fact, all of you don't use probability sampling method. Right, teacher? Yeah. Not just that, they use purposive and confidence sampling, so it's not probability sampling. Right? For probability sampling, for example, you have 5 teachers, you put the name in the box and you pick it randomly, or teacher 1, go there. This probability sampling, but you don't do it. So all of you don't use probability sampling method. And the number 30 students, you say that the title level 6, but in the real practice you choose from different level. So you just, in that when you know this one, you just take out the word level 6 among students.